Greetings, dear ones, I am Kryon of Magnetic Service. It's an auspicious time. These 4 days may be filled with language you haven't heard before. I don't speak of language like light language. I'm speaking about English terms that you don't understand. The reason I say that is because you are about ready to understand perhaps and even broach a dimensional membrane. There are those who do not like the Kryon channeling because it demystifies the New Age. They love the magic. They just want the magic, and they don't care how it's done. Are you aware who the master physicist is of this universe and all the multiverses around? Are you aware that Spirit, which you call the creative source, which some call God, did everything that is doable through the rules of physics? There is no magic or mystery, dear ones. There are simply things in physics that you don't understand yet, and dimensionality is one of those. You cannot then talk about moving into another dimension and say, well, it's a magic one. Instead, most of you give it a number. That's fine, but you have to somehow, in your mind, linearize the various things that you're expecting, or can do, or moving toward for you to then comprehend it. What if I told you those days are limited? You might be moving into that which is not what you thought. You speak of dimensionality so loosely, and perhaps that is because you don't really truly understand what it is. Are there those in other dimensions around you that are invisible? Most of you would say, well, yes, we believe that. Would the entourage of Spirit who is in this room now with each one of you, why can't you see them? Is it possible that the physics of the universe lends itself to you not seeing them? That again, it is not magic. So what this question then begs, it begs an answer. Could it be that if you did understand it more, the entourage might be a little more visible? Would you like that? This is the beginning of the planet Earth moving to Ascension status. This is the beginning of the planet Earth moving to Ascension status. It has to start somewhere. It has. Coming out of the shift, the 5 years to 2030 is the beginning of that which is a dimensional shift in many ways. There is a great deal of time that will then have to be churned through, you might say, with light workers living longer, changing dimensions, and then in the change in dimensions, learning things they never knew before. So even before I begin to talk about dimensionality, we have to revisit one thing. It is the most critical thing, and definitely has energy, and it's called consciousness. Did you know that even the famous Greek philosophers could not define consciousness? It's not biology, dear ones. It goes beyond that. Even in the times of the ancients, there were the shamans. All over the earth, there are places where you can see the shamans have pushed their handprints into solid rock, and then removed them. All over the earth, not just one place. How was that accomplished? If I told you that it was very high physics combined with consciousness energy, would you understand? Consciousness is probably the strongest energy on the planet. Did you hear that? So what happens when dimensional shift starts on this planet and consciousness starts to then morph into something that you've never seen on the planet except through the masters? That is what is happening. That is what will happen. Now here is the thing you probably don't understand yet, and you will as we go. There is a limit to how high consciousness can go within a specific dimensional plane. Now there are times when it can go further and come back, but it cannot sustain itself unless there is a dimensional shift. If on this planet there was a dimensional shift that took place, it would then allow consciousness to spin more freely, to spin higher. Now we get into physics yet again. Dimensionality is not that hard. It just isn't. You have a line on a piece of paper and you look at it. That's one dimension. The line gets thicker suddenly. It gets wider. It now has added a dimension number 2. It stands on its 2 feet and the line stands in the air. That's the third dimension. That's simple. You've been in 3D, you felt for a very long time until you discovered there was another one. What time frame is that line on the piece of paper in? Now you have to discover, well, is time variable? Einstein said it was, therefore that's the fourth one. The line has a choice of what time it's in depending upon the observer and how fast they're going. This is all physics. Now you're up to 4. Now it gets a little dicey because there are so many, especially in the New Age, who want to sense some other things that they are receiving and call it 5. But in almost every case, there is a global assumption about dimensionality, and they will say, this planet is moving into 5D. No, it isn't. The individual humans are if they have a higher consciousness. Did you get that? I'm telling you, perhaps for the first time you've ever heard it, this is not global dimensional change. It's consciousness global dimensional change, in that all light workers who have been here a certain length of time, who are concerned about themselves and working toward a higher truth, are then the ones that will receive a dimensional shift so that their consciousness can go higher. And all those who don't, stay in the dimension they were in. What do you think of that? Suddenly, you have this idea that you can have human beings walking around the planet, and they are definitely in different dimensions. They're not all in 5 or 6. Have you ever heard of the Menehunes? They're here, you know. They inhabit the secret valleys of one of the sweetest islands in Hawaii, that is Kauai, and they're real. You might say that they are dimensional residuals of high consciousness Lemurians, and you'd be right. Are they seeable? Answer: when they wish to be. How old are they? And the answer is yes. Are they corporeal? And the answer is no, only when they wish to be. Now this must be an exceptional high consciousness, and it is. Now let me redefine something that especially the New Age wants to believe that never took place. They have completely and totally the New Age mislabeled high technology. There is this idea that when you go back to Lemuria, they have flying cars, all these other things because they have super high technology. And by the way, somehow they misused it, and of course they were punished because that's what the church tells you. That's what humans do, and that's what happens to them. This beautiful loving God of yours then becomes a punisher. Let me redefine high technology for you. High consciousness is high technology. High consciousness, where you can choose to be invisible or not in a dimensionality that you are in, if you wish not to be or into it, that's high technology.